Full or empty? Which is better? Well, if it comes to having a drink, full definitely wins. However, sometimes empty can be better. If you said of somebody, well, that person over there, they're a bit full of themselves, that would mean that the person was kind of proud and thought they were better than other people, which isn't so good. For instance, in the Bible it says, God opposes the proud, but helps the humble. And I thought I might tell you a story from the Bible today about that very idea. It happens at a time when the Israelites' stomachs were empty. Their fields were empty. Their barns were empty. They basically had no food whatsoever. And the reason they had no food is whenever they tried to grow some food, these people called the Midianites came and just stole it all. And as a result, the Israelites decided to pray to God and ask for his help. And as soon as they started praying to God, God said, yeah, of course I'll help, no trouble. And he sent an angel to a guy called Gideon. Now, I suspect that the angel, when he heard that he had been sent to this guy, he thought, oh, Gideon, he must be really full of himself. He's got to be somebody really important and powerful. But the angel was in for a bit of a shock, because when he turns up, he arrives and he says, "Hail, Gideon, mighty warrior! God has chosen you to save the Israelites." And then he notices something. He notices that at this precise moment, this brave and mighty warrior is hiding in a wine press because he's so scared of the Midianites. And Gideon says, Me? You want me to go and save the Israelites? Don't be ridiculous. I'm running on empty here. I am the least important person in my family. And my family is the least important family in our clan. There is no way that I can save the Israelites from Midian. But to his credit, he gives it a go. So Gideon goes off and he raises an army somehow or other. And these people, they set off to go and fight the Midianites. When all of a sudden God stops them and says, Gideon, your army is too full. It's got too many people in it. And Gideon's going, no, God, that's not the way this works. The whole point of an army is you want as many people as possible in the army. You can't have a too full army. It'll make things easier, trust me. But God goes, no, Gideon, trust me. If you win with all of these people, they'll think that they won because they had a big army. They won't realise that they won because I was helping them. And if they do that, then they might forget about me. And forgetting about me is what got them into this trouble in the first place, which is true, it did. So Gideon has to stand up in front of his army and say, okay, if anybody's scared, go home. And at that moment, 20,000 people go, yeah, I'm a bit scared, and go back home. And now Gideon's only left with 10,000 people. 2/3 of his army have just walked off. And so this 10,000 people, they set off to go and fight the Midianites. And God stops them and goes, Gideon, your army, it's too full. And Gideon goes, but I've only got 10,000 left. It's still too many, says God. Take him down to the nearest river. So Gideon does. And God says to Gideon, get him to take a drink. So Gideon does. And then God says, go along the line of them taking a drink. And if they're doing what a normal person would do, and they're like scooping up water in their hands and drinking that way, you can't take them. But if they put their face right next to the water and lap the water up like a dog, then you can take them. And I think you agree, that's a pretty strange way to drink. And as a result, after Gideon's gone along the line and only taken the ones who lap water like a dog, he's only got 300 left. He started with 30,000 and now he's got 300. And God goes, that'll do nicely. And so God tells Gideon to take his army. And each of these 300 people, Gideon gives to them a trumpet, probably like a ram's horn type thing, which they kind of tuck into their belt, I guess. And then, in one hand, they have to take a flaming torch, one of those fiery burning things to see where they're going. But then, in the other hand, they have to take a clay jar, which they put on top of the fiery torch, so that they can't see where they're going, but nobody can see the fiery torches. And somehow they stumble up to the top of this hill. And when they get to the top of the hill, God says, "Okay, Gideon, now." And Gideon gives the command. And the 300 people, they take their clay jar and they smash their clay jar. And they take their fiery brand and they wave their fiery brand. And as they crush their clay jar and break their shake their fiery brands, something amazing happens. Something absolutely incredible. You're never going to believe it. Yeah, that's right. The Midianites run away. They do. They're just thrown into a panic. They start fighting each other, going, it's the Israelites, what are we going to do? They run away. They never, ever come back into the Israelite territory again. All because God took someone who was empty and made them full. And I love the fact that God took somebody who was empty, like Gideon, somebody who wasn't very important, and chose him. And I love the fact that God took someone who drank water in a really weird way, and not just some, 300 of them who drank water in a really weird way and a bit strange, and he used them. Because if God can use people like Gideon, and those 300 just slightly weird people, well, maybe he can use somebody like me, because I'm not that great, and I'm a bit weird, but it strikes me as awesome that God could use someone like that.